Oh boy, it's Comics with Drew, and I'm Drew, and I am late again. Uh, this is not how my project will be delivered, and by that I mean it will not be delivered late. So, but this is kind of like the first several streams that I'm doing, so I'm just getting my rhythm down for what we're doing here. This actually is not what I'm going to be working on today, but I thought I would test the camera out, make sure that it was in focus. So here we go. Yeah, so you can tell how small this is by how big this pencil is, or excuse me, lead holder. So yeah, this is general safety, and this is going to very likely, be a cover here, and so. But anyway, today I'm actually going to be drawing a page or working on a page, and I'm doing this one from scratch. So this is penciling a page from scratch, and I'm going to be drawing a B movie monster, and which is actually part of the Dark Variance book. So let's bring this out a little bit here. Ooh, gotta get back into focus. Get some focus. There we go. Much better, much better. Okay, so this is the paper I get, Strathmore Bristol, smooth, 4-lined pages, 200 series, acid-free, heavyweight, smooth surface. So if you wind up buying original artwork from me, it's going to be in this high-quality paper that comes at $19 a pad. At least it did a Hobby Lobby. And so, yeah, by the way, I'm sorry if you're triggered by me going to Hobby Lobby. No, I'm not. Actually, I kind of hope you get triggered, because don't be stupid about how people run their businesses, as long as it doesn't impact you. So anyway, all right, so let's see here. I actually did a rough of this particular page. By the way, getting these things actually pulled out of the pad is kind of nerve-wracking, because you don't want to tear it. Well, I mean, I'm sure some people don't care, but I do. I'm a bit of a OCD type person. So, but let me go ahead and see if I can't pop this out ever so gingerly. See what we got going on here. Let's see. Okay. All right. Oh, that was simple. How about that? Maybe it's an old pad. I don't know. So, by the way, if you had asked me to draw you a sketch card, or if I told you I was going to draw you a sketch card, and you've not heard from me about that, what you can do is send me an email. I will put a link in all my future videos. Actually, I might just go back to all my videos when I get the time and start putting my email address that you can reach me at, and we'll see how that goes. And just send me the character that you wanted, and general idea, and your address, obviously, and I will mail that out to you. So, also tonight, we'll be trying a new Mountain Dew. I've never had Baja Mango Gem. So I've got Baja Blast. So grab all Baja flavors, enter to win new treasure. Interesting. So this is kind of like, apparently, some kind of like treasure hunt thing. But anyway, all right. So now I actually had roughed this character out that I'm going to draw, and I seem to have misplaced the sketch pad that that character is on, and that is vexing to me. So actually, do I have it here? No, I don't have it here. Sometimes I've got these like drawers in my desk that I almost never open, stash things in because I'm totally lazy. Alrighty. It's not in that sketchbook. And is it in this sketchbook? It is not in this sketchbook. The good thing is that I took a picture of it, and I texted it to several people, so I can work from that. All right. In other news, I'm going to need to go find that sketchbook. And feel free to chat, if you're actually in the, there you go. Here it is. So this is a very large rabbit that has been dark varianced. So I'm going to be working from this original sketch here. And this is going to be a full page. Yeah, this is going to be a full page. So this will be fun. Yay. All right. Get a swig of the Baja Mango Gin. Let's see what this is like. It's mango-y, all right, that's for sure. Not sure I dig it as a Mountain Dew flavor, though. But it will work. Okay. It's been a while since I actually started a new page. Let me figure out what I want to do here. All right, so we are okay. All right. All right. I'm Blue Dabba D, guys. And someone's here. Yay, thanks for watching. Whoever you are, feel free to comment. So, like I said, this is a brand new page for Dark Variance I'm working on. And it's actually this page. I sketched this out in a sketch pad, and I'm going to start rendering it here. So it's a giant bunny rabbit with fangs. And I'm going to see if I can't make it super scary and creepy and terrifying and cool all at the same time, because that's what I'm aiming for here. I don't normally draw stuff like that, so this is kind of like out of my comfort zone, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. When I get my border closed, that'd be nice. All right. All right, so first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that I have my borders, because if I start drawing, and I don't know where my borders are, that's the key thing. It's like when you're drawing and you want to make sure you've got live area, you don't want to put something that's important that's off the side of the page. So usually what I'll do is I'll just, to give it a good idea to keep my bearing straight, I'll go down the dotted line and make sure that I'm sticking within this line. But yeah, so I'm here to chat about anything you want to chat about. This is actually, this drawstring is more for my discipline, my personal discipline, because what I have found is that as an artist, I can always find something better to distract me with than drawing. And when what I need to do is get off my butt and actually just draw it. So when I was doing the webcomic, The Adventures of Vindabud, Superhero in Training, what I would do is I was single and I would come home after work. I actually worked the mid shift, so at the time that I was doing this, so I would go to work, and I'd come home, and I'd get home around 11:30. Invariably stop by Taco Smell, and then I'd put on some DVDs and get to the drawing board and start drawing these comics out. So Do I have some here? I can show. Do I have some original ones here? That would be cool. Let me see if I can pull out an original. Yeah, there it is. No, that's the wrong box. Where did that go? I was certain I had it there. Okay, this is why you should prepare before you go on a stream, because you'll wind up getting sidetracked looking for stuff that you don't have, or you don't know exactly where it is. So that's unfortunate. I'll find that another time, guys. And go close the. And that's when I close garage doors. Closet doors. There we go. All right. So yeah. Okay. So let's see here. This character that we're drawing has been Dark Variance, and I am going to basically just start drawing him here. So let's do this. All right. You know, I've never really done bunny rabbits before. So that was actually a pretty interesting kind of research, actually, for lack of a better term, trying to find good photo references of rabbits. And, you know, what I've noticed here is that rabbits kind of look a lot like dogs, depending on when you're drawing them and looking for references. And you start focusing on what makes a rabbit look like a rabbit, you know, big nose, but their noses are furry. So, but anyway, but I love drawing giant one-page panels. So one thing I do not like is putting like 50,000 different word balloons, which I won't be doing here. This is just kind of like a revealing image, and then after this image, it pretty much cuts directly to the title page. So I have a bit of a prelude. I've got a 6-page mini, you know, prelude to the main story that kind of does a little bit of the background. And I am not going to put a then. I'm just going to just launch into the narration. So I hate it when I open up a comic book and it says then or it says now, and it's like, just give me the time. Don't say 6 months previously. Actually, for all the faults of the new Spider-Man volume, the book starts off with 6 months ago, so it doesn't start off with a stupid then now convention or trope. I can't stand that. So, but anyway, but this character is actually this character is named after one of my wife's wives. Yeah, no, this character is named after one of my wife's pet bunny she had as a child. So this character is Sweet Cakes, and Sweet Cakes is not sweet by the end of the situation. So, but anyway, so there's lots of fur in this. And by the way, if you struggle with fur and drawing that and rendering that, David Finch, the fantastic all-star comic book artist, he has a great tutorial on that on his YouTube channel. So I forget exactly what the name of it is, but just search for David Finch. And by the way, if you are looking to draw anything, like if you're trying to, like, you know, sharpen up your skill set for whatever reason, then David Finch is, I think he's a must follow. So, I mean, he's a great guy. He's Canadian. He's very nice, as a lot of Canadians are. You know, I find Canadians are either extremely nice or extremely boisterous and loud. There's never much of an in between there. Even when they're being jerks, they're actually pretty nice. So it's kind of frustrating. So anyway, but I'll tell you what, man, trying to come up with a scary rabbit, that is a challenge. You know, just drawing the rabbit, first of all, you know, it's actually pretty easy to do that. But when you're trying to like get some kind of like extraterrestrial cross bunny rabbit, that's actually a challenge. So anyway, so like I said, feel free to chat if you want, and I'll try to reply while I'm drawing. But again, we're drawing Dark Variance, or I am drawing Dark Variance. And by the way, I was talking to people that are saying, so what are you gonna do? Are you just inking this or penciling this or whatever? And I said, oh, I'm gonna do it all. I'm gonna pencil it. I'm gonna ink it. I'm gonna color it. Blah 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 blah. And well, coloring is very challenging, and inking and penciling not so much. But I will tell you that I saw Donald DeLay. He was talking about trying to figure out what the best colorists were that were hireable by CG or could do CG work, and I was looking at that, and so I reached out to one of them, and I said, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna basically do some inking, and I'm going to get the penciling done for it, and then I'm going to ink it, and then I'm going to see if I can't commission a one-off coloring job on the art and see how it turns out, and see if it's something that I could reasonably do myself in a way that I would be satisfied with. And so that's something that I didn't. I reached out to somebody that Donald DeLay recommended, and so we'll see what happens. The guy gave me a good quote for it, and so I'll do the inking for it, and if he colors it better than I could possibly reasonably color it myself, I I'll wind up launching my project, and I'll have to like raise the funding to pay for the coloring on it, because good colorists aren't cheap. It's like the Joker says, if you're good at something, never do it for free. And I would, as someone who's a creative, I would never, ever, ever rip off or screw over a fellow creative, because I understand what it's like. So, but a lot of people don't seem to understand this, and it can lead to all kinds of problems. So anyway, so this is and by the way, if you guys have suggestions on how to make sweet cakes here even scarier, let me know. So, but sweet cakes has got it's got like Tyrannosaurus fangs level things here, and kind of also they're also not they're more monstrous than they are even naturally occurring, because what basically the character is, it's a bunny rabbit that's been kind of changed by dark matter into it's been crossed with a B movie monster, and the movie monster's like, oh, that's what it was. It's an alligator. It's like an alligator based B movie monster, and the dark matter got exposed on the rabbit, and there was this B movie monster, this B monster movie playing in one of the technician's little offices on one of his monitors, and the dark matter caught that and then injected the alligator monster into Sweet Cakes, and so Sweet Cakes is now a giant, a giant monster bunny with giant fangs. So, but that's kind of the kind of stuff that you can expect in Dark Variance. So lots of yeah. There's a cartoon in the in the 80s. I don't know if any of you remember Saturday morning cartoons, but there were these Saturday morning cartoons, and one of the cartoons was Wuzzles. And Wuzzles, which I remember was a Disney cartoon, it was a big deal at the time because Disney didn't really do a lot of cartoons. This is back before the Disney Saturday or Disney afternoon after school comic block with DuckTales and all that stuff. Disney rarely actually put cartoons on network television, but the Wuzzles were like these combinations of different animals and different creatures, like a lion and a bee or something. By the way, so yeah, I'm kind of doing a scarier Wuzzle. So, but anyway, I wonder, should he have black eyes, like a shark's eyes? That's what I'd like to know. I'm thinking that he should. So let's see. Yeah, there we go. I think the scarier things, and you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna zoom in on this a little bit more. I think the scarier monsters out there are like I don't watch a lot of horror movies, but I have seen several. And one of the scarier monster or scarier, slasher movies to me is Halloween. And the reason why is because Halloween, Michael Myers, he has like dead eyes. They're just these black holes in the mask. And when you have something like that, let me make sure I'm getting. There we go. Is that? I think that's good. Yeah, there we go. When you have like a soulless, monster being kind of person, I think that's actually the most frightening because they say eyes are the windows to the soul, right? And when you don't have eyes, you have no soul, and it's just a faceless terror coming after you. And let me see if I can't do a little bit of technical wrangling with this cord here because I don't like this cable. Here we go. Come on. Much better. There we go. Okay. So anyway, I think that oftentimes if you do like just black soulless eyes, like what a shark has, that's the scariest kind of thing. So you gotta sharpen this a little bit here. Feel free to comment if you want. Ask questions about what I'm drawing, what I'm doing. Ask questions about movies or TV shows or comics. This is a Comics with Drew channel, so just me running my mouth. Actually, I think maybe I should move his mouth up some more. Yeah. There we go. All right, so I've been talking with some people about my process for this, and so I'm going to. I'm a big fan of keeping your pencils because it's art. Pencils in and of themselves are an art. One of the things that always causes me much consternation is when I hear about great pencilers, great artists for comic books like Kirby, for example. Jack Kirby would rarely ink his own stuff. He would always pencil it, and then he'd give it to an inker, and then the inker is there, interpreting his stuff. And depending on how good of an inker you have, you might get great quality, but you also might get terrible quality, and that could be a real problem. By the way, I'm trying to make his teeth so that they would be nightmarish to floss. Sweet Cakes, the monster alligator bunny, has problems with flossing. Something tells me he doesn't really care because he's Sweet Cakes, the monster bunny. So one of the characteristics of Dark Variance is that it's kind of a bit of a defense mechanism, right? So if the character is got adrenaline running through it, and they're terrified of something, the fight or flight kicks in, and a lot of times the Dark Variance, especially in certain kinds of organisms, will just kick in and basically kind of like it's almost kind of like a Bruce Banner Hulk situation, right? It will kick in, and then you'll get the business end of the stick, and so I think that's one of the things that I'm playing with as far as how the characters interact with their environment. I have pretty much a story for Dark Variants, but there are a lot of things that are still needing nailing down. So that's one of the things I'm working with here. So anyway, yeah, definitely gonna have I don't know what a rabbit's tongue looks like. Let me find out what a rabbit's tongue looks like. That's a good question. By the way, when rabbits yawn and they show you their giant incisors, that's kind of terrifying to see a rabbit yawn. I don't know if you've ever seen that. Rabbit tongue. I love the internet. You can always find something that you're looking for. All right, so okay, so there we go. rabbits have normal tongues. All right. Who knew, right? Who knew? All right, so just gonna, yeah. Here we go. Tell you what, drawing full pages like this is a lot of fun because you can really, it's funny when you look at a lot of art. I think Perch from Comics with Perch was posting a picture of some comic book. I don't know what it was, but he had a bunch of different characters, and the artist basically didn't render their faces. They had like little dots for 3 dots for eyes and a mouth and stuff like that. And but then they had spent a lot of detail rendering rock shadows. And I was like, all right, that's weird. But the thing is that when you're drawing on a scale like this, like a very large piece of paper, you can get into some really detailed work, right? So, like right now, I'm just like working on fur. I can render fur on this page. I could be drawing this page for a solid month, just getting it busted out. So, I have a luxury of time because one of the things that I tell people, especially in regards to crowdfunding, is that you should not launch your book or launch your crowdfunding campaign until it's pretty much almost completed. Whatever aspect of it that you are responsible for in the creative process, be it writing, be it drawing, or be it any kind of story or editing, whatever you can do that is something that you personally can do, you should have already had done because you don't need to pay yourself to do that work. And so the benefit of that is that you can take as long as you want getting things just right. So that's one of the things that I'm trying to work on here is, I'm going to take my time getting sweet cakes here sufficiently horrifying. And if I can do that, then it'll make it worth it. So in the end, that's really all that matters. But rendering fur and making a bunny look terrifying is not something I've normally done. that's to say the least. So feel free to leave comments in the peanut gallery. Tell me if you think it sucks or if you think it's going all right, or what you think you would want to do. This is kind of an interactive situation where I'm working on a book, and here's your opportunity to actually be part of that process by focus group testing things. So, but his ears, it's funny. The ears are floppy ears. I want to go with a floppy eared bunny because I thought that you can use the floppy ears in kind of like a cape for their head. It can be a lot more dramatic, especially when you're doing motion. If you've got a bunny that just has like perky ears, they're like bang bang and you're done, right? It's like, I mean, you can have them like go loop down, right? Let's see, like if I were drawing it, you can have one that goes up and then one goes down like that, and that will work sometimes. But I think it's much better if you have a situation where your bunny ears can flow around with the breeze, or depending on how they're moving themselves. So zoom out. Let's see. Can I control my camera? There we go. So this is, like I said, if you're joining just now, this is a brand new actual page that I'm working on for Dark Variance. And I believe this is going to be I'm pretty sure this is page 6. I mean, it might be page 5, but this is like one of the last moments of the, it's actually the last image of the actual, like run up. What's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? There's a term for stories where you've got the preamble, I guess. That's not right. Dang it, what is that word? Driving me crazy. Prologue. There you go. That's what I was looking for. This is the last page of the prologue before the story really starts. So, anyway, tell me if you think this is a sufficiently scary bunny rabbit. It's an alligator bunny. You got ID Crisis. Looks good. Rising Action. Yeah, thank you, ID Crisis, for stopping by. Looks good. And Rising Action. Rising Action is wonderful. That's something that I kind of learned. I took actually I subscribed to a writing class. By the way, I see a lot of people, ragging on different creatives and whatnot, and a lot of creatives are trying to do things like Substacks, or they're trying to, offer classes on what they do. And I think I'm very much a believer in the idea of you can learn from anyone, right? So if you're learning from anybody, even if you think somebody sucks, from for any reason whatsoever, if they are professional at doing what they're doing, they can teach you something. So there is a comic book writer, and he has a comic book class, and one of the things that he teaches in his writing class for comics is rising action. And you can sit there and you can talk about the fact that you've got an idea for a book and all, but if you don't know how to properly execute that, if you don't know the nuts and the bolts of how stories are put together and how they're structured and how you do payoffs, how you do setups and payoffs, then your book is going to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Haphazard. It's going to be unfocused, and it's going to drag in parts, and it might pick up in other parts. And a lot of times I see, crowdfunded books where, people are just, doing it for the first time. It's like their dream is to be a writer and all that stuff. And they've not taken the time to really focus and learn what the craft of writing looks like. And that's a real big problem, I find. So, but anyway, so to avoid that, I've been like taking classes and stuff like that, because I've always written comic strips, so like 1 page or 3 panel comic strips, because I wanted to be a syndicated comic strip artist. But I never really did long form stories, and so I've never really learned how to do that. But taking this, I learning about rising action, and falling action, and where that fits in your story in a 3 act structure. Incredibly important stuff. So anyway, as long as they suck, you can learn how to. That's exactly right. You can certainly do that. And Emmanuel Reed, thanks for stopping by, man. Looking good. Thank you very much. So, like, if you're just joining again, this is Sweet Cakes. So Sweet Cakes is at the beginning of this sequence a cute little bunny, a cute little floppy-eared bunny, and he's in a lab. He's in a DARPA lab, and he is one of the lab animals, and one of the ne'er-do-well technicians is behind the glass in a laboratory, and he's playing a B movie. He's watching a horror, a B monster movie, and dark matter is they're experimenting with dark matter that's been discovered, because I like that. That looks good. They're experimenting with dark matter, and there's a problem with the experiment, and Sweet Cakes gets exposed to dark matter, and dark matter combines the furry little Sweet Cakes with this alligator-based monster in the B movie, and turns Sweet Cakes into a 15-foot alligator. Alligator bunny. A croca bunny. Something like that. So anyway, so this character is not a main character in the book, but he's a character that kind of is being used to illustrate the principles of what Dark Variance actually is. So it's the first Dark Variance character in the entire book. But he's one of my favorite characters, even though he's not he's not the antagonist of the story, and he's not any of the stars. He's definitely a fun character, and he's named after my wife's one of my wife one of the pet rabbits that my wife had when she was a kid. Sweet cakes. Great. That's, by the way, that's how you subvert expectations. You give a cute name, and then it turns into some horrifying giant man-eating rabbit monster with plenty of teeth. Also, you want to make sure that we're drawing the teeth going inward because we want to trap the prey in the mouth of the teeth. So, anyway, if you guys have any questions about Dark Variance or what I'm drawing here, feel free to let me know. If you want to talk about anything else, you want to talk about movies, TV shows, whatnot. I saw Jurassic Park, Jurassic World Dominion. I saw that 2 weeks ago, and I thought it was all right. But I keep seeing these people that are like all pissed off about it, and they're super mad. And I'm not saying that they're wrong. Okay, don't get me wrong. I just didn't personally see the reasons why there are problems with the movie, and that could be because I'm not as invested in Jurassic Park or the franchise. So I'm not telling people that they're wrong, but for me, it was all right. So if you guys want to ask questions about that, or if you want to tell me I'm wrong or tell me why I'm wrong, I am perfectly happy to hear your opinions, because I'm like the dude. Well, that's kind of like your opinion, man, and I appreciate all the different opinions. Oh, geez. Let's see here. Should I? Yeah. Spiky hair. More spiky hair. Like I said, a lot of stuff that I learned about, rendering fur and stuff like that. There are a lot of great tutorials on YouTube. In fact, I am a firm believer that you can get yourself a six-figure job just by watching YouTube videos on, computer programming and IT stuff. Like there are entire hours and hours long courses about how to learn different coding languages, and this is stuff that you can make a lot of money if you're inclined to do that. But there are a lot of other things that you can learn on YouTube, and you can learn about how to render fur, which is what I'm doing here. I'm rendering some fur. One of the hardest things I find for doing the bunny rabbit is bunny noses are so cute. They really are, and but they're kind of blobby. They're kind of furry little buttons, and I don't want to just have a furry button. But part of this is allowing it to have its own kind of menacing. I want to have, it's like sweet and sour. It's like the perfect mix of sweet and terrifying. This is what I'm looking for. So, looks like you're using a Stadler blue lead. I am using a Stadler blue lead. That is correct. Let's see here. Do I have it here? Dun, dun, dun. Actually, that's black. So, where's my blue one? Do I have my blue one in here? I do. It's in my other desk. Let's go get it. There it is. You would think that I would keep all my lead in the same place, but I don't. So, but is that the black? Hold on a second. Which one is which here? Son of a biscuit. I'm not entirely certain. It's so hard to see. Oh, this is blue. That's it. Do you have a different kind of? Do you have a recommended blue? If you have a recommended blue lead, that's nice for me. I mean, it's kind of light. I mean, I'm actually making this darker by going over it. So, see if I can't focus this in. There you go. So, I'll just it can be very light, but then it can be darker, depending on how much effort you put into it, or pressure. How much of your back you put into it. Can be one way. So, okay, is he sentient or does he have an owner? Sweet Cakes is owned by the federal government, technically, but they're welcome to go find them. so I don't think Sweet Cakes is really interested in being found after this. He kind of like bails out of the DARPA lab and goes cavorting across the countryside. That's what Sweet Cakes does. I've had some of those and tossed them. Prismacolor is lighter and easier to eliminate after scanning. So when you're talking about that, are you talking about using it in a lead holder like this, or are you talking about just like regular color pencils? Because if Prismacolor comes in lead that I can put in a lead holder, then I'm down for that. One of the things I do not like to do is I hate sharpening colored pencils because it's so messy, it's so nasty. What I like about this is I just pop this sucker right in here and and I'm done. So, and I can get a nice fine point, and it doesn't waste a lot of other stuff like wood shavings I've got to deal with. So, a little bit sharper point here on this. All right, there we go. So in this particular thing, let's see. Okay. All right. I will look into that. Prismacolor brand non-photo blue LEDs. See, if nothing else, I'm glad I did this draw stream because I found an art tip on art supplies that would be good. So I have a bunch of different art stores around town in Orlando. So I will go through and look through those. So, all right. So yeah. So Sweet Cakes is sentient, and he's a bunny rabbit. He's just a bunny rabbit with alligator teeth and an oversized appetite. And he's not malicious, really. Technically, he's not really malicious, but he's a friendly, croco bunny or alligator bunny. That's what he is. I wouldn't walk up and pet him. That's for sure. But that's the thing is that he hops away. See, he turns into this big monster bunny, but then he goes back to normal bunny size, and so he's kind of like he's on the down low. He's on the QT, and so you'll see him out someplace, and I haven't, honestly, I've not actually drawn him as a regular normal bunny, so I'm gonna have to do that. When I do that, I'm gonna have to give him like a distinctive, pattern on his coat, so that you can tell that he's Sweet Cakes, the DARPA bunny, the DARPA Dark Variance bunny that has gone rogue. So anyway, but yeah, this is actually, by the way, this is one of my wife's favorite characters for Dark Variance. She actually loves this character. Probably one of the reasons why I decided to name him after her pet. Also, because Sweet Cakes is just a funny name for a monster, a monster rabbit. Yeah, to me, it's like you really, you're doing something good when it entertains you when you're drawing it, and to me, that's a big part of drawing or any kind of creative stuff and sharing it with people. If you're wondering whether or not what you're doing sucks, right, and you think it personally sucks, then it's not ready to show other people. It's not ready to be, the character isn't ready. And for me, the idea of this character, I find freaking hilarious. And there's so many excellent opportunities for story points and scenes that I can work with the character. And the character makes me laugh just thinking about it. And so if the character makes you laugh when you're writing it or you're thinking about it, then I think that's when you know that you've got something there and you want to keep on working with it. So, but anyway, let's see. Kind of do some settings for the teeth. There we go. And he's going to have a bit of a cavernous mouth in here too. And the reason why we have a cavernous mouth is so we can set the teeth against the darkness of the gaping maw of Sweet Cakes as about ready to, I don't know, is he about ready to have a technician snack, a technician Twinkie? Uh, does he like to eat lots of technicians? Is it like Pringles? You can't just eat one. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. So one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to make him a lot kind of like what a shark looks like. You know, one of the things, even though he's like an alligator cross bunny, I'm gonna sneeze here. Jeez. Yeah. So excuse me. Anyway, one of the things that I think makes sharks terrifying, and that's I was talking about Michael Myers with Halloween. Michael Myers looks like a human shark, and that's what is so terrifying about that character to me personally, and that's why I find him the most unsettling of all the different slasher monster characters. Um, he's just a machine, you know, and it's one of the reasons the original Terminator movie was so scary to people and so successful because the Terminator is just it's all it is a killing machine. That's what a shark is. A shark is nothing but a killing machine, and there's no reasoning with it. There's no trying to plead with it because it's got one purpose that it was made for, and that is eating things and killing and eating things violently, and doing so in such a way that is primal and unsettling. And that's what I want the sweet cakes to look like here when we first have the final reveal. So what's going to wind up happening, the lead up to this page, is that we have actually the page is going to be like right here, right? And then this is going to be a page, and this is going to flip, and then I'm going to have the title of the book on the next page. It's going to be a double page spread. But anyway, with regard to Sweet Cakes, this is like the reveal of the monster character, right? So he's kind of smiling. I don't know. Should I have him smiling? Maybe. Yeah, I guess so. I guess monsters that are smiling in a way. I want him to have kind of like a fake smile, right? I don't want him to have a I'm consciously scaring you. I just want it to be a situation where, hey guys, hi guys, what you doing? So anyway, so in my he's going to be, I've got my guy here. It's going to be right here. So this is going to be a situation where my character, my technician character here, is going to, he's going to be kind of like a skinny kind of guy, right? And he's going to be in his chair, and he's going to be looking at the monitor. He's going to kind of get snuck up on, right? He's not going to be aware. He's going to be so completely zoned into his own music and watching his movie that he doesn't see the mayhem and destruction going on in the lab because he's not looking at the closed circuit stuff. And what's going to happen in this page is he's going to be engrossed in his monitor with his headphones on, and then he's going to look up, and then his eyes are kind of going to glance to the left, right? And that's going to be on this page. And then here, he's going to look over and he's going to see Sweet Cakes here, and that's bam, the end of the prologue of the book. And when I started storyboarding this and figuring out exactly how I wanted it to work, that's when there's a kind of high, there's a kind of an adrenaline rush you get as a creative type, in my opinion. Let's see what we got here. Let me get some chat comments here. I don't know why, but the tongue hang out. Yes, thank you. The tongue hanging out is chef's kiss. I was wondering if I should have the tongue hang out, but I think you're right. So thank you very much, Emmanuel. Let's see here. The set I got was a bit of a fluke, just a tad less than 2 millimeters. So I had to go get a different lead holder, just a fluke, I'm sure. Okay, well, that's good to know. My go-to for evil eyes on anything in the album cover is the album cover for Uriah Heep's Abominog, evil, crazy, rabid, monkey-looking eyes. Sweet Cakes looks like a good rendition of the general from Watership Down. The general from Watership Down. What is that? Okay, you got me. Let me go look it up. General Watership Down. General. Oh, wow. Yeah, no, I can see that. Yeah, no, I can see the resemblance. Do you see the resemblance? I've never heard of this character, by the way. Although he's got white eyes, so and he's not furry. All right. Let's see. What was the other thing we were talking about here? Uriah Heep's Abominog. Let's go look at Uriah Heep's Abominog. Uriah Heep Abominog. Album cover. Oh yeah. Oh god, that's terrifying. There you go. That's scary. Good. I don't know. Is it similar? Do you think? You know what works with this is that monkeys and apes, they have this really well-defined ridge on their cranium here, just above their eyes, and so it kind of serves two roles, both as an eyebrow and like a bone structure, and it's kind of like permanent, and so they always look like they're pissed off and mad, especially when you have the upraised nostrils like this. So yeah, that's nice teeth. It's not enough teeth for me. It's not enough teeth for me though. I need more teeth, as you can see. All right, what do we got here? Great movie. I'll have to look into that. I have to put that on my watch list. No, just what think of when it's time to go evil. Just what think of when it's time to go. Oh, okay. All right. So anyway, so yeah, so Sweet Cakes. Yeah, no, he shows up, and I have my my lab technician guy here, right? And he's in his chair, and I'm gonna have to work on rendering this exactly the way I want it to go. And he's gonna see here, bring this up. It's gonna have a chair going like this, and it's gonna be on wheels. There's if you've all seen Armageddon, which I will freely admit is one of my favorite movies. I don't care what anybody says. But in Armageddon, there's a scene where NASA, the president has decided that he's going to detonate nuclear weapons, right? And so we know that this is a problem or we know that this is happening because we have a long shot of a hallway, right? And actually, let's do this. Let me just illustrate what I'm talking about. All right, so we have this long shot of a hallway, right? And they're down here, and then we've got like everybody's in their consoles. Can you bring this down? Yeah. And there's a guy sitting here in a chair, right? And the chair is like on wheels. And you've got the big burly security guards and the general, and he's walking down here. And this guy here pushes off from the console, and he goes slowly rolling across. And it's a really great shot in Armageddon. And so that's kind of what I want to have kind of happen here, where I want people to think, I want it to look like he's kind of just like rolled out from his chair. So he'll have his like foot like down here, and he'll have his other foot like down here, and he's like, "What in the hell is this?" and that'll be the end of the prologue, and then we'll get a 2-page spread as Dark Variance, and that's going to be the opening. I can't tell you how excited I am about it. Some of my favorite books actually work like that. I got this idea from, believe it or not, ENIAC, but World's Finest does it, right? So this is the most recent World's Finest book, which, by the way, I keep telling people to get because it's freaking amazing. World's Finest does this, where they've got like a prologue, right? They got a couple pages, and then they go boom, and this is the title page. To me, as far as doing comics are concerned, when you have a title page that comes across like this screams frigging epic, right? To me, this is an epic title page. And so when you can do like a little bit of a vignette, so this is like 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is only 3 pages because this is just like an ongoing series. So if you got 1, 2, 3 pages, and then you got boom, you got this, then you have kind of like an opportunity to do like a cold open, which are some of the most effective dramatic scenes in film, in my opinion. So let's see here. ENIAC does it very well. Let's see if I have an ENIAC, not first printing, number 1 here. I can show you this. Here you go. Is this? Nope, that's number 4. It is not there. It's going to be. If it's not there, it's going to be down here. Okay. I can get rid of this because this is like freaking me out. Let me close that. So. All right. No, I did not dox myself. Okay. There you go. Yes. ENIAC, not first printing. So this is the most effective I've seen. One of the things I love about this, ASMR, guys. All right. One of the things that I love about ENIAC, by the way, one of the best books I've ever read. So you've got, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Look at that. That is how you do a title page. And that's how I'm going to do Dark Variance. Dark Variance is going to have a title page like ENIAC's title page. So it's got like this little prelude here, and then it cuts through, and it's done with the prologue. Boom. Now you know the story's going to start. And that's what's going to happen here. This is going to be the last page before the Dark Variance title page. You heard it here first. So let's get this put back. So yeah, so this is not just a drawstring. This is also some of the things that inspire me, and some of the style cues that I find really great that I want to include and make references to. All right, so Courage the Cowardly Dog vibes. Wow, I'm missing issue 4. I think you should get issue 4. But what you're missing issue 4 of what? You're missing it of ENIAC, or you're missing it of World's Finest? Because you should get both. Be perfectly honest with you. So anyway, but I'm not going to render out this guy here, at least not today. I'm just going to work on this. I'll save this for another draw stream. But yeah, his console is going to be here, his desk, and then he's going to roll out, and I'm going to have like either a bag of chips, or like, even better yet, like a thirst buster, or a big gulp here on the side. And his arm's going to be falling down here. He's going to totally wetting his pants. So because of this giant crocodile around it. Anyway, let's see here. Courage the Cowardly. Yeah. I would probably know Courage the Cowardly Dog if I saw it directly. So Courage the Cowardly Dog. Yeah, kind of. But he's cowardly. He's very cowardly. Sweet Cakes isn't cowardly though. He's a bit terrifying, to be perfectly honest with you. So okay. By the way, I really appreciate all of you stopping by to chat with me and watch me draw. Like I said earlier, if you weren't here, this is more about getting me off my butt and making sure that I actually work on my book. Even if I'm only working on my book, an hour a week, it's still an hour that's getting done. Really, Harvard tells you, there are people that go to Harvard that tell you that if you want to work on something, work on it at least every day, It doesn't matter if you're working out for 10 seconds. It doesn't matter if you're whipping out and writing something down and it takes you 20 seconds. That is work that you put in every single day on whatever you're working on. And eventually you're going to get these times where you've got a lot of creative fire and you can just like go bam, 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 and just knock stuff out and you're just in the zone with it. Other times you're just, writing down like today, I'm going to write down the color of this character's eyes are going to be hazel, and you're just doing that, but you're doing something. And that's kind of the philosophy that I'm following with here on Dark Variance with these draw streams is trying to make sure that I'm always doing at least something once a week. I need to kick it up. Those are rookie numbers. Got to pump those numbers up, as Matthew McConaughey would say in Wolf of Wall Street. I don't want to make much of his teeth too. I don't want to make too many of the teeth uniform. If I can learn how to speak. No, I'm going to blame this mango Mountain Dew for me not being able to talk today. So naturally, this means I'm going to have to take a little bit more of it. Yes, it is mango-y. Also, this is going to be a hallway. I don't know if I should just make this a hallway or if I should make it, a cramped up hall, with boxes or maybe some equipment that's hanging down. Oh, that needs to be, that's got to be it. This is going to be like he's kind of broken through a wall. That would probably be the best situation. That I can have cables coming down. Yeah, I can have debris falling down behind him. Boom, that's it. Okay, so actually, what I need to do? I need to write. Did I start this upside down? Oh, God, you can tell I'm an amateur. This is the right side up for the page. Oh, my God, that's embarrassing. Wow. All right, technically it doesn't matter. When I ink it, it's going to be right side up. Oh, wow. You get so sucked into doing things, man. Welcome to live internet streaming. I don't know. Should I erase and start over again? Tell me. Here's your vote. You vote. Leave it in the comments. Should Drew erase his pencil work and be OCD and draw it right side up on the page instead of freaking upside down on the page? God. Oh, geez. It's amateur hour here. Yeah, so how does that look? Keep it going, says Emmanuel. We're punk rock here. We're punk rock artists here. There's no rules. I think you're right. I think I'm gonna do it that way. I think I'm gonna keep rolling with it. I think his tooth is a little too big there. Make that more of a snaggle tooth there. There we go. Heavens to Murgatroyd! It's Snaggletooth. Exit stage left. I want his fur to be kind of getting caught in his teeth. Right? Kind of coming out. There we go. I like that. All right, what else we got here? Flip it on the computer. Yeah. Flip it on the computer. 2 votes. 3 watching, 2 votes. There you go. I think they make comic blue line pages that are reversible. Some info on top and bottom. Not this one. Not this one, but that's fine. It doesn't really matter. This might matter more if this wasn't like a single page, but it's a single page, so no one cares. This art is not going to be the final art anyway, because I'm going to put this on a light board, and then I'm going to take another piece of Strathmore. I'm going to ink over the blue lines that way. And that way I can keep the integrity of the original line drawings, the original pencils, and then also have original inks. And so then I'll scan the inks in, and then we'll color it digitally, obviously. But I because this is my first book I've ever done, I want to keep all of this stuff. Like I want to have a record of what happened with it. To me, that means a lot, because I can go back and I can see where I did things a certain way and maybe do it differently going forward, or if I learn something from it, I can keep it going. So that's why I want to preserve the pencils. I was talking earlier about the fact that a lot of Jack Kirby's original artwork is he primarily did pencils, right? And a lot of his pencils are gone or destroyed because what they did with DC and Marvel in the 60s is they just started throwing out the work. So once the work was done, that was it. It went in the trash. And this is an ongoing issue for a lot of seminal, incredibly important cultural works, like especially with the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the original Disney movies back in the 30s and whatnot, in the 40s. They would get done with a movie, right? And they would have all these film cells. So if you're not familiar with animation, traditional animation before computers, they get these cells, basically these plastic clear things, and they would basically color onto them directly. And that's how they would hand paint each individual cell. It was agonizing work. And after the movie was done, the animators would go like throw the cells out on the floor in the hallway and then go sliding across them and just destroying priceless art, priceless stuff. And because they didn't care, they didn't think it was going to be valuable. And the same thing happened in the 60s and in the 50s and even the 70s with Marvel and DC, is the work was work for hire. So you had great, massive, towering figures like Ditko and Kirby, and they would draw their art, and then it would get thrown out. Or even worse, they would erase the pencils and then reuse the page to draw something else. So it was horrifying. So I don't want to do that with my stuff. I'm going to preserve the pencils, and that's how it's going to work. So at some point, his fur needs to start coming down. Yeah, there we go, like that. I promise you. So last week, previously on 24, I was doing the launch of Voyager, right? Okay, so this was last week. So last week I did mechanical stuff and planets. Now I'm doing furry monster stuff. So next week I will draw a hot babe. So I will find a panel that I can draw of a hot babe. So we'll have the full gamut of cool things: rockets, robots, monsters, and hot babes. So that will be the next draw stream. Whether or not it's Wednesday, it might not be Wednesday. It might be before Wednesday. We'll see. So depends on if I get some time and I feel like doing it. All right. What other comments do we have? Okay. Traditional cell animation was clear acetate pointed. Exactly. That's what I was trying to figure out the word I was looking for. But you're right. It was acetate. And very calming to do. Oh, no. Well, something is very calming. Oh, the paint? Yeah. No. It's calming and nerve-wracking, I would imagine. I actually knew a traditional Disney animator. He was when you're working on traditional animation, you have animators and you have key animators, and then you have fill-in animators. So the key animators are the rock stars. What they'll do is they'll say, okay, like, let's go to the pad again. All right, so a key animator will draw this pose here, right? Characters like this, right? And then they'll draw the character, like this. Right? So, and they'll go on and forth. And so then you'll have, that's the key, and then you have another key. and then you have fill-in artists, and then they'll draw the in-between poses to get to that, right? And the key here is that you want to get, this is the gesture that makes that matters. This is the gesture that matters. This is the gesture that shows the personality. So anyway, so I knew a guy growing up because I'm from Orlando, and they used to actually have animation done in Orlando way back in the day. But Disney, so he was a key cleanup artist. So cleanup artists are some of the best draftsmen you could possibly imagine, because basically what they're drawing is the actual finished line work that you're going to see in the motion picture. So an animator will kind of do rough stuff like what I'm drawing here. This is kind of like rough art. This is not finished, and by any stretch of imagination. And so a cleanup artist would come through and say, okay, bing, 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 and it looks nice. There's every line looks perfect, and I have a lot of respect for people like that. So, but that's also how I kind of learned how to not worry about drawing the perfect drawing with every line initially. A lot of people get hung up on, I need to draw, everything needs to be perfect, bing, 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 1, 2, 3, and I've got it done. You got to kind of find the soul of the art, in my opinion. You got to find the soul of the image that you're working on. And if you can do that, yeah, there you go. That's better. If you can do that, then you will find more lifelike work, in my opinion. So, talking about the in-betweener, I am talking about the in-betweener. That's exactly what I was talking about. Anyway, this guy, I used to go, I was a kid, we went to church every single Sunday, twice. But we went to the same church, this animator and I. And so to me, he was like this idol to me. I was like, oh my God, you're a Disney animator. You're the greatest. You're the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. The guy was like, so it's unfortunate because he was a bit of a dick. So he, because I would draw things, right? And I would draw things and I would show them to him for his approval and say, hey, look, I like to draw too. This is what I want to draw. This is what I want to do when I grow up. And he would kind of look and say, yeah, that's all right. And then he would never, give me any tips or pointers or anything. But the one thing that he did give me one tip. I just remembered this. He told me that I should go find a book at the craft store or the hobby store called How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. And that was his everlasting contribution to my art education. But other than that, he was a bit of a dick. So, but I still am happy to have known him at one point. So he wound up giving he wound up doing original drawings of some of the characters he worked on to other kids in the church, but I never got one. I would have framed that thing. I would have framed that and been like the place of honor wherever I lived. But oh well, it was not meant to be. All right. Tell me if you have any other ideas that you want me to go with here, because like I said, I'm open to suggestions. More teeth, less teeth. I think it's actually turning out much better. Let's put another tooth there. There we go. Any other comment? You're talking about the inventory? Yeah, we're going to take that down. All right. Again, thanks everyone for stopping by while I'm drawing on this. What time is it? 11:51. Goodness gracious. I usually want to go for, I was saying we're going to go for an hour, but I wind up going for way over an hour. Let's put another tooth there. So, let's see. I want to, yeah. I'm going to have to look into what torn drywall, smashed walls look like. One of the characteristics, I think, of fur and hair for Dark Variance characters is that it has a kind of unnatural look to it. so it doesn't necessarily flow quite right. It doesn't lay quite right. So one of the things that I find incredibly creepy as a technique in horror movies is when things move kind of mechanically, that are supposed to be organic and natural. That always creeps the hell out of me. So that's one of the things I'm going to be working on here is trying to give some of the characteristics of Dark Variance things this kind of unnatural kind of look to it because it's not meant to be natural. It's kind of a misguided modification to the evolution of a species or of an animal or a creature. Drool. I should have some drool. Okay. All right. Let's see if we can work on some drool here. So get a little bit closer here. Let's draw some drool. Now, if you're going to draw a drool, you need to make sure you get a fine point for that. All right. You want to get like a little glistening on it. Do you have a favorite among the characters? Among which characters? My characters? Well, we have, okay, so let me talk about some of my characters here. Actually, I kind of like Sweet Cakes. He's just a fun character. All right, so let's talk about some characters. All right, so this character is Vindabud. He is, geez, point correctly, thank you. He's about 20 years old. Pretty sure he's 20 years old. Yeah, my characters. All right, good. He's a college student. He attends the University of Florida. His real name is Tanner Troy, and he becomes Vindabud, which is a dark variance of a manga character. That Tanner Troy, which I actually haven't drawn Tanner Troy yet. I need to work on that. Tanner Troy, and then you have Ava Adams. This is Ava Adams here as Common Sense Girl. She's Common Sense Girl in this picture. This character is General Safety. His name is Matt Morganson, or Garrett Matthew Morganson, and they call him Matt. And then you have Elizabeth Eastman here as Vinda Babe. So Vinda Babe, and get the chat off here. Okay, so yeah, there we go. All right, so all right, Vinda Babe, Vinda Bud, Common Sense Girl, and General Safety. Okay, my favorite characters, I think of these four. I think Vinda Babe is my favorite character. And the reason why I like Vinda Babe is that she's an example of what I think you should have in a strong female character. I think female characters that are the best are feminine, and they are smart, and they use their intellect to compensate for the fact that they're not big and strong, right? While she is, they're all very good fighters because they gain fighting skills basically from Dark Variance, being Dark Variance with this manga that they're all fans of. They're all fans they're friends, but they meet in a geek themed coffee shop cafe in downtown Orlando, and they meet around this table and they're talking about the anime and the manga that they're a fan of. And then when the Dark Variance is exposed to where they are, there's an explosion. They get Dark Variance and turn into these superhero characters. Then that's when you start seeing them turn into this stuff. But anyway, but she uses her knowledge. She reads. She's like a literature major. She's like an English major, and she uses her knowledge to basically combat or overcome challenges that aren't the easiest to solve. Right. At one point, she decides and I'm going to use Wizard of Oz because I'm a big fan of Wizard of Oz. There's in the movie and the book, they drop a house, right? I'm pretty sure that happens in the book. But anyway, she drops a house on the witch, right? The house lands on the witch. In Dark Variance, there's a scene where they're all fighting a monster or an antagonist, I'll put it that way. And her ability is that with her energy powers that she has from Dark Variance and this manga character, she can create things out of nothing that she has read about in books. So in this case, at one point she decides that the way that she's going to defeat this challenge or overcome this challenge is she's going to drop the house that lands on the Wicked Witch of the West she's going to materialize this house out of nothing and drop it on somebody, right? So that's why I like her character. She's smart. She's the smartest of them all as far as she's more intelligent than all these other characters. And that's why I like her character. So I'd say of the four here, she's my favorite. Sweet Cakes is a different kind of character. And I like Sweet Cakes. And by the way, I love all my characters. And I don't think that you can really write effectively if you don't love all your characters. But ultimately, there's a character that I'm writing. His name is Frank Richards. And Frank Richards, I think, might actually be my favorite character. Frank Richards is a government agent. He's assigned to provide security to Zoe Brighton because she is basically monitoring and she's overseeing the dark matter testing and experimentation and research. And so Frank Richards, he's about 45, 50 years old. He is a tough as nails guy. If you've ever seen Robert Culp in The Greatest American Hero, in the TV show The Greatest American Hero, it's a 1970s and 80s TV show. There is an FBI agent, and he's played and this guy, and the FBI agent's name is Maxwell, and he's played by Robert Culp, the late great Robert Culp. And Robert Culp is kind of the idea of what Frank Richards is going to look like. Frank Richards is an ex-military guy, but he's now an agent for the FBI. I'm pretty sure it's the FBI. He might be a DARPA agent. I've yet to nail down what agency he's a part of. I might not even point out what agency he's part of. But anyway, he has hard-boiled dialogue. So he has no time for superheroes. He has no time for any of this fantasy that he finds himself trapped in. And he has no fear of anything. He doesn't take anything seriously. So at one point, there is the villain, and she actually has Frank strapped down, and she's going to torture him. And he's just like, I don't care. Do your best. And he uses terms like toots and broad and dame. And he's just like, he's from this alternative kind of version of noir detective. So and he's a lot like if I were casting Dark Variance and I could cast anybody in history, I would cast Robert Culp as Frank Richards because he's kind of like a Maxwell character in The Greatest American Hero. So I would have to say Frank Richards is my favorite character. Also, Frank Richards is named after two of my former colleagues of mine at a job that I used to work at. And so I had this guy, he was from New York, and his name was Rich, and he was Irish. And then I had this other guy who was from New Jersey, and he was Italian, and his name was Frank. And so I named the character for both of them because we're sitting in Central Florida in a call center and these guys are like talking to each other, like, "Yeah, Frank," and they're making like ethnic Irish Italian jokes with each other. They were hilarious, guys. So, but anyway, so I named that character to him. So to answer your question, yes, the character Frank Richards, which I've yet to show anybody, is my favorite character of the book. So let's see here, little green guy. Exactly right. Get your jammies, Ralph. Get your jammies. So let me get a picture of Robert Culp as Maxwell in The Greatest American Hero. By the way, if you've never seen The Greatest American Hero, you should watch The Greatest American Hero. It's a great TV show. I'll keep my stuff from falling off. That'd be nice. Stay. All right. Okay, Robert Culp, Greatest American Hero. So, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's Robert Culp in Greatest American Hero, and he's basically an FBI agent in the show. And Ralph, he's investigating the extraterrestrials that brought the superhero suit to Ralph here. And here's the awesome, super gorgeous Connie Selka. But Ralph had the superhero suit, and in the show, he doesn't. There's instructions, and they lose the instructions. So he's the only one that can wear the suit, and the suit makes him invulnerable and gives him the ability to fly and gives him telepathic powers, and so makes him bulletproof. Nobody else can wear a suit, so they assigned Robert Culp here to babysit, basically, Ralph here, and he refers to the super suit as his jammies. He's hilarious. I love the character. He's one of my favorite characters ever. I always thought it was a comedic genius to put that curly blonde fro on a superhero. Yeah, no, you're right. It was. This is when I was a kid. This is one of my favorite shows, and I hope they never ruin it. I hope they never remake it because it would suck if they would totally ruin it. And by the way, if they were to remake it, they should get Bruce Campbell to play Maxwell, the FBI agent, because he would be a good example of a Robert Culp. So, a Robert Culp, fantastic guy, and he's kind of the inspiration for the Frank Richards character in Dark Variance. So, the superhero that can't fly straight, exactly. So, like again, if you've never seen that show, Ralph, when he tries to fly, he goes like this. He's like flying through. I mean, usually you've got Superman's like, "Shh, I'm Superman," and he's like flying like that. And he's like gracefully like bringing his arm around, stuff like this. Ralph in was it Ralph Hinckley? Yeah, it was Ralph Hinckley. When he's flying, he's like just sprawling and tumbling through the air. It's hilarious. So it's a great show. You should watch it. So if you've not seen it before. All right. So let's one of the things, by the way, when you're doing eyes, I find that you can really bring a lot of visual energy when you just really lean in to drawing eyelashes around eyes. There's lots of drama that you can do that. Just drawing it and going with heavy lines. And also, if you can manage to make it look like it's three-dimensional, you know, where it looks like they're kind of bulging out a little bit, that's even better. All right, so let's see here. What else we got? Yep, no additional comments. So again, if you're just joining, this is Sweet Cakes. He is a monster rabbit. He is the first character that is changed by dark matter in the book Dark Variance into a Dark Variance. He's a Dark Variance character. So, or excuse me, he's turned into what they call a Dark Variant. So Dark Variance is the name of the phenomenon that causes Dark Variants to exist. So Sweet Cakes here. This is the first Dark Variant in the book, and he's kind of like the lead off to what dark matter can do and what Dark Variance can, why it can cause problems. And so ultimately in the book, dark matter is released in downtown Orlando and causes mayhem and insanity beyond what you would normally find in downtown Orlando. And then it turns it into like this dark, nightmarish kind of hellscape with monsters everywhere. And we have a force trying to steal the dark matter, and then we have a force trying to put the genie back into the bottle, and then we have the dark matter itself causing all kinds of problems. So we have three different dynamics going on. And our superheroes that I was showing you earlier, again, if you're showing up again, these guys, they're tasked with trying to get the Brighton box components back together to regain control of dark matter and restore Orlando to its pristine, sunshiny ways before it becomes a permanent nightmare. So that is the general idea, general plot of the book. So general story. So right now, again, just adding more fur, just rendering. And this is just me relaxing and drawing because there's no pressure here. This is like happy little trees, happy little science fiction monsters that eat people. That's what this is. So, I was noticing, I was reading Oddity, right? I was reading Oddity, and I was noticing in a lot of the art in Oddity, which was drawn by Sweens, there's a lot of very oddly, no pun intended, there's a lot of oddly rendered characters in that book. And I went and I was wondering, why is this? And then I went and looked at the campaign again, and I saw that they had tiers that you could be drawn into the book. And so the characters that are drawn in the book that look kind of weird must have been drawn by Sweens from photographs that these tier purchasers gave him, because they're all kind of like very awkward and posed very awkwardly, because Sweens is just trying to make sure that they look exactly like they look in the book or look in their images. So I thought that was very funny. I won't have that problem. Even actually, if I find someone that, if I decide to offer a tier like that in Dark Variance where I draw people into the book to get eaten, for example, I was thinking about, I could draw someone that gets eaten here. Actually, this character here, the technician, which may or may not get eaten, is actually going to be based upon what I looked like when I was 18, which is a scrawny little punk, is what I look like. I look like a scrawny little overdressed, suit-wearing churchgoer. So, but if I were to draw people that were actually real, what I would do is I would actually just get a bunch of different pictures and then sketch them so that I could say, look, this is this person. I could do character sheets on them, so that way they would look like themselves, but also fit in with the art and look of the book. I realize that can be a problem for people to try to nail that down, for artists especially. All right, let's go back here. All right, okay, so I was doing just lines in here. The professionals will do pencil hash marks and X's to indicate black, but I'm doing my own. I'm penciling for my own inking, so I know what I'm going to do. But because this is kind of supposed to be somewhat entertaining to you fine viewers out there, I will try to restrain myself from totally acting like a hack with my art. By the way, this is John Romita Jr.'s opportunity to come on one of my streams and tell me how I suck at drawing. That's another thing. It's funny. People say, how can you critique, how can you do reviews of crowdfunded comics? Aren't you going to hurt people's feelings? I'm like, well, only if they're gonna act like little bitches. So honestly, my critiques for comics they're designed. That's getting way too uniform. My critiques are actually designed to be constructive. So if you watch a critique that I've done of a book of yours, and you find yourself getting pissed off, then I think that you need to kind of evaluate why you're getting mad. Are you getting mad because what I'm pointing out is something that you know could be better and you should have done better yourself? That's one thing. So, but if you're getting mad just because someone is not blowing sunshine up your ass about it, then I don't have patience for that. So that being said, I'm drawing a comic book and I'm writing the comic book, and I welcome wholeheartedly people coming in and telling me what they think about it, whether it's good or bad. So let's see what we got here. No other comments? No. Okay, cool. All right. So speaking of, I saw a tweet by the Rags comic, the Rags Twitter account for this military comic, and I'd seen it before, but I never read it, and I hadn't gotten into it because, quite frankly, I don't have money to back literally every project that comes around. But anyway, but they said, "Oh, I'm going to start doing straight non-trolling reviews of comics." I'm like, "Well, that's what I do on my channel," and then he replies, or she, I'm pretty sure it was a guy. He replies, he says, "Well, have you read Rags?" And I'm like, "I've not had the pleasure. Is it available anywhere?" So I don't know if you all know what Rags is, but I went to I went to they sent me a link and you can buy it digitally. So it's $7 for basically 8 issues of comics. I'm like, sure, whatever. So I bought it, and it's it's like a zombie softcore porn military drama veteran PTSD book. It's crazy. So I was looking at it, and they really, the key thing when you're drawing something, when you have a book like that, the key is to make sure that your artist is awesome, and can draw very well anatomy. And they crushed it. They have a Filipino artist, and by the way, there's a lot of great artists in the Philippines. I've noticed lately. But anyway, this guy really knows how to draw anatomy. So anyway, so half that book is the characters running around completely nude, and I was like, I wasn't quite. It's like, I can't review this on my channel. Here's my Rags review, guys. I've actually only halfway through it because it's like 245 pages, but it's interesting, and it does what it wants to do well. That is the best kind of compliment I could pay to something like that. Oh yeah, there we go. One of the things that you want to see, whenever you see a dog snarling at you, a lot of times its nose, the hair will start to stand up, and if you can kind of like see that, it's a nice natural warning sign that you should probably find someplace elsewhere to tarry instead of pissing off that dog. So I'm trying to do a little bit of the raised hair stuff here. Let's see here. When Dana Carvey asked Christopher Walken if he was offended by all the imitations people do of him, he replied, "Are we not? Are we not men?" How would Christopher Walken say, "Gotta have more cowboy. Are we not men?" Christopher Walken would say that. That's exactly right. You gotta be men. Gotta have a thick skin if you're gonna put yourself out there. No, it's true. It's absolutely true. So, like I said, I'm not going to just sit here and take pot shots at people. I'm not going to sit here and tell. And by the way, nothing is personal. It's not personal, and people take things personally, right? There's a lot of artists that are fantastic, very talented artists, and they all have their styles. And you got to respect what they're doing with the style, and you got to understand that what they're not trying to do. That's something that a lot of people don't seem to really get, is that you can't. It's not fair to critique someone for something that they're not trying to do. Okay, so for example, if you're reading Twilight, right? Okay, Twilight is a girl written for is a book written for 13-year-old girls, right? That's what Twilight is. Twilight is not Shakespeare, so you cannot read Twilight and then say, you know what, this isn't Shakespeare, or you can say it's not a clear and present danger by Tom Clancy, so therefore it sucks. You have to look at what it's trying to do, right? It's trying to write a book that appeals to 13-year-old girls, which it did incredibly well, obviously. So the same thing with critiquing any kind of art or critiquing any kind of writing. A lot of people don't seem to understand. Like I remember there's a guy who was reviewing comics for a while, and he kind of disappeared. His name is Inch High Comic Guy, right? I don't know if you remember him. Inch High Comic Guy got this book, and I forget the name of the book or what it was specifically. That's what I need. I need to have kind of like streaks of different colored hair, fur here. In Chai Comic, I got this book where this character is like a superhero, and he's an animal rights superhero. So his shtick is that he protects animals, right? And so somebody winds up abusing a dog or something like this, and so this superhero goes to this guy's house apparently, and then murders his entire family over a freaking dog. And it's like Inch High went in dry. Inch High hated this comic book, and he rightfully savaged the book. He said this book is stupid, it's in poor taste, it's out of control, and he was sold, I think, in his opinion, a different kind of book. He was sold a different kind of story. And so when you bait and switch people, you say, okay, well, this is what this is going to be, and this is what we're going to do. And then you deliver something that's just so far beyond the pale, then you deserve to get torn apart in any kind of reviews, whether they're YouTube video reviews or whether they're literary agent reviews or New York Times reviews. So I the only thing I would ever ask of anybody that's critiquing something that I'm doing, whether they're critiquing my art, critiquing my writing, is just judge it based upon what it's attempting to accomplish and whether it accomplishes that well or not. And if it doesn't, then yes, feel free to let me know. I am all about that. By the way, it's kind of like pain, right? What people don't want to have pain, but pain lets you know that something's wrong, and so you can fix the thing that's wrong because pain is letting you know. And so instead of being mad about the pain, be thankful that you have the pain to let you know where you need to address issues so that you can survive. So that's what people need to understand. And so whenever someone is going to come in and tell me that, oh, well, Drew, your rabbit's got the wrong kind of nose, I could say, well, it's not a real rabbit, but all right. Well, yeah, but if you want to make a crocodile rabbit, here's a picture of one, and then I can look at that and say, oh, yeah, right, you got a crocodile rabbit for me. That's great reference. I will make the change and not take it personally. So anyway, that's my rant about that. Okay. So anyway, what time is it? It's 12:20. I'll go for another 10 minutes. Tell me if there's something you want to see me draw here, because if you do, I'll draw it. By the way, again, if I promised you a sketch card, please email me. I'm going to put a link. I'll tell you my email. It's aswcomics@gmail.com. So aswcomics@gmail.com. Actually, why don't I put it in the chat? That might be a smart idea. Imagine that. aswcomics@gmail.com. All right. So email me at that email address. Let me know the character that you want. Give me your mailing address so I can send it to you, and I will draw you a sketch. I will ink and draw and maybe even color a sketch card for you of the character of your choosing. So, and it doesn't have to be mine, it can't be X-rated. So don't ask me for anything X-rated. Got to point that out. So, all right. But let me know if there's something else I should draw. Oh, I need to draw some more drool. I don't think that this is enough. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Nice T-Rex drool. All right, anything else? Fun stream, gonna head out. Thank you, ID Crisis. Appreciate it. Feel free to stop by at any time. Thanks for coming by. This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be a fun thumbnail for this video. If there's anything else you want me to chat about, we can certainly do that while I'm drawing happy little crocodile, alligator, rabbits. Actually, they're not little; they're pretty large. Again, if you're just joining, this is a page from Dark Variance, my upcoming, long promised, rarely talked about and shown graphic novel. And this is Sweet Cakes. Sweet Cakes is the result of a happy little accident between dark matter and a bunny rabbit, a lab rabbit, and a B movie, a sci-fi B movie monster. And this is how I render fur. So you may want to render fur a different way, but this is how I do it. Advice for world building. Well, that's a good question. So world building, yes. Thanks for correcting that. Work advice for work building. A place that pays you. World building. Okay, well, we'll talk about world building. I think world building is important when you know what kind of story you want to tell. First, you got to figure out what your story is about, right? You got to figure out. You say, okay, like in my case, well, let's talk about Harry Potter, right? Let's make it better. Let's talk about Star Wars. In Star Wars, George Lucas wanted to tell a hero's journey story, and he wanted to tell a story that was epic, and it was something that was futuristic. And so, what he wanted to do was, he wanted to have this character who wanted to be a star pilot and wanted to be like his father, but he was basically born on a farm and far away from that life. And he goes on this journey where he matures from an immature child to a very mature, very balanced, very nuanced, very powerful character who has learned hard lessons throughout life, right? That's what story he wanted to tell. So he's like, okay, well, it's set in space. What do I need to have in space? Well, I got to have different planets in space. And what planets are obviously got to be populated by people, but they can't all be humans. So a lot of them have to be like, aliens. And then there's a lot of technology. So I want to have robots that can talk. And so when you start thinking about just the foundational backgrounds, these are basically the colors that you're working with on your painting. So think of it like you're building a painting. Okay. So when you're doing a painting, you got a mountain and you got trees that's going to be in your painting, and you've got, a lake that's going to be in your painting, and you've got some clouds that's going to be in your painting. So you think, well, what do I need for a mountain? Well, I need black and I need gray. I need that. I need white for snow, for mountains. So you want to add those. And so you find the right kind of white, find the right kind of black, you kind of find the right kind of gray that you want to use. Same thing for the sky and for the lake. You want to find the right kind of blues, the right kind of shades. So you start thinking about all these things and how they come together to make the world realistic for what you're trying to couch things in. Think of it like packaging. Okay, so Apple is famous for excellent packaging of the devices. So when you buy or a MacBook Pro, it comes in a very nice, sleek box, and you open it up. It's all reinforced cardboard. It's an experience to unbox it. All right, and that's the world building for the device. So you want to make sure that the world that you are making is believable. You want to make sure that it's something that complements your characters, it complements your story. And if you don't have that, then you're going to basically be dropping your character into an ocean of blandness. A lot of comics that I see, well, they what they'll do is actually, in a lot of comics these days, you'll see basically a panel with two characters, and then a panel with two characters, another panel with a character, another panel with a character. There's no background. There's no sense that they're actually in a three-dimensional space, other than you're just assuming that they are, and that really hurts when you're trying to put this stuff together. Harry Potter lives in a very decrepit, kind of old, dingy kind of world. And so J.K. Rowling was thinking of castles, and she was thinking of dingy alleys, and she was thinking of all these different things that she could use as colors to paint the picture of Harry Potter's world. That's the best advice I could give you. Don't just think about the character. That's the other thing, is that don't just say, okay, I have sweet cakes here, okay? Well, what kind of rabbit is sweet cakes? I don't know what kind of rabbit sweet cakes is, but I'm going to find out what kind of rabbit sweet cakes is. If I want to figure out what makes sweet cakes tick, he's not really that complicated. He's a rabbit. He's a laboratory rabbit. But if I wanted to tell a big, deep story about sweet cakes, I'd say, well, sweet cakes was born in a farm in Wyoming, right? And there was a rabbit farm in Wyoming. And Sweet Cakes' favorite thing to do at that rabbit farm was to eat carrots that were in the garden next door to where the farm was located. And I would come up with this entire backstory of what Sweet Cakes does, what Sweet Cakes likes, what his favorite food is, what his favorite thing to do for fun is, where he likes to sleep, who his buddies are. And you may never, ever actually use any of these things in a story. But the key is that you know that they are there. And it allows you to think of the character as a real live person. And so if you have like Tanner Troy, who's Vindabud, right? Again, here's Vindabud. When he's not this character, he's Tanner Troy. He's a 20-year-old college student that is from Orlando, Florida. He attends the University of Florida. He is studying political science. He's a gigantic movie nerd, and he prefers anime over manga. And his favorite drink, his favorite soda is Coca-Cola. His favorite color is blue, and his favorite food is pizza. And his favorite kind of coffee is a little bit of vanilla creamer with no sugar, right? These are all things that I know about that character, right? Ava Adams, right? She is a graduate student at the University of Central Florida, right? I have her birthday. She was born in Winter Park Hospital, right? You will never need to know that she was born in Winter Park Hospital, okay? You will never need to know that her favorite movie is Pride and Prejudice. No, you'll never need to know that her favorite kind of barbecue is pulled brisket. But you've got to come up with these things, even though they're not going to ever factor into your story. They help you make the person real. So that way, when you come across a situation, maybe you've got Ava Adams, and Ava Adams is at a barbecue place, and you think, well, what would Ava Adams order? Well, she would order the pulled brisket because that's what she likes. So there you go. That's my advice for world building. Ask me any questions. If that doesn't make any sense to you, let me know. So, I think I need to make his fur even crazier. This page will be worth more to collectors one day because it's upside down. That's going to be the only one that's upside down. I promise. Actually, I don't know if I put the book. Well, if I put it in a book like this, is yours would be flopping down, so no, it won't work. Are you working on a story, Emmanuel? I just realized that he must not have teeth here if his tongue is kind of popping through here. Should probably draw another tooth like that. So yeah. So you need a little bit of a drooling aspect going on here. Not right now, working stuff. You know what? You're right. Work can be tough. It can be mentally exhausting. All right. Let's work on this ear over here. I'm going to get his entire head rendered, and then I'll call it a night. You know what I should probably wind up doing? I should probably put some kind of recognizable body part or office supply in his mouth here. That would be awesome. What should I draw? Should I put like a stapler there? Should I put like a should I should I put an inspirational poster portion in here? That'd be funny. Gotta keep it real. All right. Sorry, reference again. Can't find my sketchbook for this, but okay, I have. Yeah. Okay. So crap. Okay. There we go. So I think Sweet Cake should definitely have a much longer ear here. So it's kind of even more bizarre, more off kilter. I wouldn't say that Sweet Cakes is a killer rabbit or killer white rabbit. uh, so much more is that he's more like a rabbit you don't want to meet in a dark alley. Tell you what, one of the great things about drawing teeth like this is that there's almost nothing that you can do that's wrong. So as long as you're switching it up, I almost ran into a tangent there. You don't want a tangent, by the way, is when you have one line that goes to one thing and then it crosses into another line that goes to another thing. You do not want a tangent, and I very nearly just did that there. So I gotta be careful about that. Yeah, right when I was about to say, don't do tangents, I like ran right into one. So you can tell I'm a professional. One of my friends kind of disappeared on us, and my friend and I thought it would be cool to write a coming of age adventure based on us looking for him. It would be my first non action story. That's a great idea for a story. And you know why that's great? Because it gives you opportunities for really strong character development. So you can, like, write about what your friend was like. You can make a character. If it's not strictly nonfiction, you can, like, basically take things that you liked about your friend and things that you didn't like about your friend as well, but the things that really stood out to you, and you can build a character around that, and then you can start writing dialogue. So, like, maybe you and your friend are trying to go. Maybe you and your one friend have finally tracked down your other friend. You think to a cabin that he has out in the middle of nowhere, right? And you guys are driving along the way there. What would your characters be talking about as they're anticipating finally showing up and finding their long lost friend? What kind of things would be going through their mind? And then you can start writing conversational dialogue about that. But those kinds of stories where you don't have action, you've got to have great dialogue. You've got to have great stories. One of the best things that I love, there's a kind of scene that I love to see in movies, and it's the scene where it's a time, it's a part, it's a point in the story where the characters get a chance to catch their breath. Right, a lot of stuff has happened, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do, and they're trying to figure out, and maybe they're traveling someplace. Like in Star Wars, it's when Luke and Obi-Wan and Han and Chewie are in the Falcon, and they're heading to Alderaan, right? And then you got Chewie, and he's fighting, or he's playing chess, and you have the let the Wookiee win kind of thing. And that's a great character opportunity to learn more about Luke Skywalker, learn more about his training and how he's approaching it. and learn more about Obi-Wan and how he's imparting wisdom to Luke, and how we talk about why the Force is important. And Han says it's a bunch of hokum and it's a bunch of nonsense, mystical garbage, and he trusts a blaster, right? That's an opportunity to learn more about the story and the world that they inhabit, and to build character without having action. And you need these kinds of scenes so that you can get emotionally connected with your characters. That's what a lot of movies these days miss. They're missing any reason to give a damn about any of the characters, right? One of the reasons I like Armageddon so much is because, in my opinion, Armageddon is it's a movie about characters. It's a movie about relationships. Armageddon is not a movie about an asteroid flying into the earth, right? That's not what Armageddon is about. Armageddon is about what Harry Stamper is willing to do to protect the people that he loves. That's what Armageddon is about. It's about what he's willing to do to stick up for his friends, and what he's willing to do to take care of his daughter, and what he's willing to do to look after Ben Affleck's character. Okay, that's what Armageddon's really about. It's not about the asteroid. It's not about NASA. It's not about spaceships and any of that stuff. And for me, when they're on the asteroid, the surface of the asteroid, and they've just drawn straws because someone's got to stay back to light up the bomb, and they go down the elevator, right? And Ben Affleck's character is like, I got to do it. This is my job, and I'm gonna do my job because that's what real men do. That's what honorable people do. And then Harry or Bruce pulls out his oxygen tank and rips off his mission patch and says, make sure Trimming gets that. And he shoves Ben Affleck's character back into the elevator and smashes the button and says, your job is to take care of my daughter. That is amazing character work. I don't give a shit if you don't like Armageddon because you think it's a stupid movie. He does that because he's a great character, and you care about him because you've watched this entire movie. You've watched how he's taking care of all his family. He's taking care of all of his friends. He's taking care of all of his employees. And now he's going to take care of his baby girl. It's the last thing he's going to do, and he's going to take care of the entire world. That's what Harry Stamford's doing. That's what Bruce Willis is doing. That's why you give a damn about what's happening. Okay, a lot of movies, they would just have bang bang bang, and he's an oil person, and now he's like training for NASA, and now he goes up there, and in 15 seconds he'd be up there sacrificing himself to blow up the asteroid, and no one would care because we don't know anything about the character. We don't have a reason to care about him, right? We don't have any reason to identify with him. And that's what you need in your stories. That's what you need with your characters. That's one of the hardest things that you have when you say, okay, I want to draw a comic. I want to write a comic book, or I want to write a novel. You want to say, I want to do a story. Like for me, I say, I want to do a science fiction comic story with superheroes set in Orlando. That's what I wanted to do. Originally, that's what I wanted to do. It's not enough to do that. A lot of people would say, okay, well, here's a Superman or a superhero character, and his name is Super Doo Guy, and he does Super Doo this, and then he fights this villain who's an imbecile, right? No one cares. There's not a reason to care about it. So there is a very well thought out character line for each one of these characters that gives you a reason to care about them. Because if you don't have a reason to care about a character, then you're not going to care about the story, and you're not going to care about what happens. And that's why it's so important when you're trying to do this stuff that you make sure that you establish rules in your story, in your world, and you stick to the rules. Because if you do not stick to those rules, if you make things up from scene to scene, from movie to movie, I'm looking at you, Last Jedi, you do things that don't make sense in the context of what's going on, then you're basically telling the audience, I do not care about this story, and you should not care about this story either. That's what you're telling them. And that's why things like Last Jedi sucks. That's why a lot of things like certain independent comics might not be as successful as you would otherwise expect. Because if you don't give someone a reason to care about the character, then they're not going to care about the book, right? So that's, I think, the most critical thing that you could possibly ever do when world building and story building and writing a character and writing and trying to understand how what we're trying to say ultimately. What is this story about? You know, Armageddon is about ultimately personal sacrifice for those you love. That's what Armageddon is about, right? It's a stupid big asteroid movie, and it's got stupid science. It makes no sense. It's dumb. It's big and dumb, but it's about something that people care about, and that's doing things for people that you love. That's the whole thing. So anyway, that's my rant. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Feel free to ask me other characters so I can stop, or other questions so I can stop drawing. I wonder if he has earwax. You know, I don't think he has earwax. He's not gross. He's scary. He's not gross. I think I'm gonna have him kind of growl like an alligator growls. Have you ever listened to a bull gator kind of growling? It's very deep and guttural, and it's nice and terrifying. And if you are ever on a lake in Florida and you hear it, you best watch yourself. So. So I'd go 12:30 and it's now 12:50. Awesome. Well, I'll go for 10 more minutes and then we'll call it a night. Thanks everyone that stopped by. Thanks, Emmanuel, if you're still here. Appreciate it. Whoever else is watching that hasn't commented. Again, thanks to ID Crisis for showing up. Oh, well, you know, even if it didn't go missing, you know, for your story, maybe he did. Maybe for your story, he didn't go missing. He just stopped going around. But either way, you've got to have a reason why you're going to want to find them, you know, and I was just giving you an example of like building character. So when you have an opportunity in your story where they're not doing a particular action, maybe they're doing something that's boring, like traveling is a classic example. Your character's traveling is going to be boring for the most part because you're trying to get them from one place to another place so they can do something. So that's not usually entertaining. We don't normally see characters in transit unless they have something to say, or you're driving a long time. One of the problems with Wonder Woman 1984 is that Steve Trevor and Diana get into this plane from Washington, D.C., and like 15 minutes later, they're in Egypt. And there's no explanation as to why. That's a failure in writing and editing to address an opportunity for them to talk about something that's important while they're transiting this very long place. You know, in Indiana Jones movies, they have the overlay of the map and then the red line going from place to place, and then that gives a little montage of them flying, and they're not talking about stuff usually at that point. But the exception is when in Last Crusade they're in the Zeppelin, and Indy and his dad are talking about Indy missing his dad not paying attention, etc. And that's when an example of when they're talking. You can say it's an exposition dump. I don't like to call it an exposition dump because I think it's a character developing, building moment as well. So, but in Wonder Woman 1984, they don't deal with that. They just like have them go from one place to the next place magically. It's stupid. All right. I was thinking it'd be about the characters reflecting on themselves and the journey to find their friend, and conflict could come from each character's view on themselves and each other. Well, that's great. That's exactly the kind of thing you need to think about when you're putting that stuff together. And you want to have, you know, a conflict, because if there's no conflict, why are we even doing a story, right? And you use conflicts for everything, for comedy, for drama, for romance, for action. There's always a conflict. There's always something that some character wants to change for whatever reason. And usually it's best described as a conflict that they're trying to resolve. Okay, once again, this is Sweet Cakes. If you're joining for the last few minutes, we're almost done with the stream. And again, appreciate everybody coming by. And just drawn a B monster movie character kind of for Dark Variance. I don't know, Emmanuel, do you watch my other videos, my comic review videos? All right. If you do, then that's great, because I'm going to give you an opportunity to pick my next video my next comic I'm going to review. So I'm going to show you some options here, and you tell me what you think. because I've not been doing it for a minute. Well, I've not been doing it at the rate that I need to do it. I'll put it that way. There you go. That's what I was looking for. All right. Here are your options. Star Circuit by Joe Calipano. This is an independent Comicsgate adjacent fantastic book. Or Captain America, Sentinel of Liberty. Blah, blah, blah. This came out. It's #1. It's a new Captain America. Geez, if I could speak, that'd be great. A new Captain America book. Oblivion Song, #36. It's the last of this story. It's the last of the series, the series finale. Or Carnage, #3. What would you like to see me do a video on next? Or is there a different book? If you got another book that you'd like me to do a review on. Oblivion Song. All right, we'll do Oblivion Song. I have not reviewed any of the other books. I've read the entire thing, and it's one of my favorite books. I don't ever really talk about it because it's not really all that popular from what I've been able to tell. I don't see anybody really ever talking about Oblivion Song. But I've been reading it, and I like it. And usually I buy 2 copies of it when I do. So I have a full set of the entire run for either if I want to keep one set and give another set away, or if I want to sell a whole set, whichever one. But it's a good story. And it's one of it's the first Robert Kirkman book I read. So I don't like zombies, so I never read The Walking Dead extensively. I've read like 1 issue of it, and it's just not my bag. So, all right, so that's 1 o'clock. So we're gonna go ahead and call it a stream. Thanks again for watching, Emmanuel. And yeah, the cover does look good. The cover looks great for Oblivion Song. Thanks for watching again the stream, and for chatting and keeping me company. And again, I'll be doing another draw stream on next Wednesday at 10:30, Lord willing, and I'll try to make it a regular thing. So, and of course, as always, just watch my other videos, like and subscribe if you don't mind. I appreciate it. And I just crossed 200 subscribers. I'm very excited about that. And we'll keep working on Dark Variance, and you can see an entire comic book put together from start to finish, essentially. So, yeah, thanks for your time. This has been Comics with Drew. I'm Drew, and good night, and God bless. Have a good night. Take care.